Hey my friend, this is Duc. In this video, let's talk about how we can create this amazing carousel effect that you usually see this on the web, like Apple.com, Amazon.com, those websites, they all use this we call carousel effect. Now, in iOS, it's getting to get more traction. Most of the world's most popular apps are using this kind of effect in one way or another. Look at the App Store. It uses this to display different apps in one row, or look at Facebook, it displays different posts on one row, or Instagram showing you different people that you can follow. Those kind of effects you can use with this carousel effect. Let's talk about that. The app we're going to build today, it looks like this. It has a very simple collection view in the home screen, and then this collection view has different items. These items can be scrolled left and right horizontally, in other words, right? So let's get into the demo. Before we do that, download the starter project I prepared for you by clicking the link right here on this page below in the description. Then you go into my website, enter your name and email there so that I can send you, number one, the starter project, and number two, I have a new video series coming up teaching you all about how to build social network app, building the user interface and all the cool stuff for the world's most popular app. That just to get you how easy it is, you can go and build the world's most popular app for just an MVP, my minimum viable product, so that you know how to prototype apps, how to build those kinds of effects. Go there, download the starter project, let's get started. Let's go into the demo. Okay, download your starter project now and let's get started. This is the complete project that after we're done with this episode, it will be like this. We have a collection view that we have different interests, or you can use different categories or different sections in your app. And when we scroll it like this, notice that these different categories or these different items, they're fixed in the center, right? They always show the center correctly, beautifully, so that like when we stop scrolling, right? So this thing will not be like this and will be look really weird, right? So it will always be centered, very nicely done like this. So how can we do that? Let's go into the starter project, and inside this project I prepare for you some code and some resources that we can save us some time. So number one, you have a class called interest. This interest is one item that you see over here. So an interest has a title. It's kind of like a meetup group, right? We have a title traveling around the world. We have featured image, which is the background image that we have over here, and we have the color, which is the background color that of the overlay background view that we use over there. Okay, and then inside your assets.exe assets, we have different images that we can use for the background color and profile image. Let's get into work. Let's go into your main.storyboard and design our UI first, right? So we want to design the UI first. Number one, I'm going to drag out a label for the interest. So let's drag out a label for this interest, the interest over here. So we have interest like that, right? And then we want to use the font size of say 36 point, and let's make this thing heavy. Okay, so it's big, it is bold, it looks good on, especially in iOS 10. We have this new way of design. Bold text looks really awesome. So let's hold the command key plus the equal sign so that this thing is zooms out. Okay, and then we want to make sure that this thing is 12 to the, actually, you know what, I'm going to use 16 to the left and 28 to the top, like that. Okay, or I want to make this 36. So let's make that 36 to the top. So drag this thing out to 36. Cool. Next up, let's have a UI image for our profile image view. So let's drag this thing over here, and we want to change the size of that into the 36 by 36, like this. And let's make this thing over there, drag that over here. Over here, it is 16, and you know what? Let's drag this thing so that it is right aligned in the center of the interest. Sounds good? Okay, Next up, let's have what is this? A line, a separator line for that guy. So it is just a normal UI view that has the height is just 1 point, and it's just that easy. So 8 point to the interest, and let's drag this thing over here, okay? And then we want to make the height is just 1 point. Okay, now if we do it like this, we will not see the line. So let's change the color into something like a black color, which is 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, like this. And we want to make the opacity is just 25%. So it looks just a little bit black like that. Okay, and also you notice that, see that the background of not only the collection view but also the whole screen is grayish, right? It is not white. So let's change the color of our root view is to be F1, 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 like this. Okay, so press enter and this changes to this. Pretty cool, huh? Okay, next step is we want to have these two buttons. So let's have button number 1 and button number 2 over here. So search for a button, drag this button over here, and then let's change this button into this cover. We want to make sure that the font is heavy, the style is heavy, 15 is okay, so heavy, and then we want to change it into dark gray color like that, and then we use command equal again, 16 to the left and 16 to the bottom. Okay, so we have this thing over there, and then let's duplicate this thing. So we have this guy here, we have edit profile like that, and we have 16, oops, come on, 16 to the right and 16 to the bottom. Pretty cool, huh? Now I want to change this image into profile 1 and scale to aspect fill. We want to clip to bounds so that it does not go way over the bounds of the image. Good? Okay, now last thing before we go into this collection view is you have to apply auto layout for all of these elements. So can I give you a little code challenge just to challenge yourself, just to change the modality of learning here, is that we want to have you involved in learning this with me, not only just doing along with me in the code challenge, in the demo, that's cool, but like if you have a chance to join me in one of my programs, say socialize your app, it always goes like this. I have a little demo to do with you, to do it along with me, and then I will give you a little code challenge so that you can practice what you learn, right? So now pause the video, practice what you learned by applying auto layout font on these 5 elements over here, and then come back with me and check with me. Okay, so do it now, do it immediately. Did you do it? Okay, here we go. I will do it like this. We have the interest, so uncheck the constraint to margin. We have top and left like that, right? And this image too, so let's have this thing, uncheck the constraint to margin, top, left, and width and height, because it is an image, right? And then this view over there, so let's have that thing, uncheck the constraint to margin, top, left and right, and also the height. You don't need to do the width, because if you do the width, it can be ambiguous. The reason for that is that maybe your view, the width of the view is higher, is bigger than even this size, right? Then if you constrain the width here into 343, then it should be very small when the width of this whole thing is very big. You get what I mean? So in order to do the width of the auto layout here, is that you will do the what is that? The left to the margin is 16 point, and the right to the margin is also 16 point. So whenever the size, the width of the screen is bigger, then this view itself is also stretches. Yeah, I hope that it makes sense. Okay, now this button over here, where this guy is just very simple, left and bottom. Add the constraint, and this thing too, left and bottom. Add the constraint like that. Okay. Now, it's time for our UI collection view. So let's search for UI collection view like this. Don't use a collection view cell. use a collection view. Don't use a collection view controller because we want to have only one collection view. So drag out this collection view to the screen, and notice that this collection view by default it has a white background. So scroll it down like this, change the background into clear color, and then the style of this collection view, you'll see that scroll direction over here, right? The layout is flow layout, that's cool. And then the scroll direction I want to change to horizontal, so it will be horizontally scrolled. Okay, so let's do that. I will drag this thing to the thing like that, and when 80 points to the top, and let's make sure it is 80 points to the bottom too. I'm sorry, 87. So 83, 88, 89, 85. We'll have to plus 2 with the width. So I want to change the width here into 497. Okay, so it will be 87 to the top and 87 to the bottom. So it will be 4. So it will be 493, like that. Right. 6. We want to minus 1 over here too. So we want to have 87. Cool. Now let's drag this thing way to the right too. To the right, like that. Sweet. Okay? Alright, now I want to change the size inspector of this guy. The size inspector of our, what is this? This collection view. So go to the size inspector. I want to change the cell size into 200 by 400, like this. Okay, so it will be right in the center. And then the header size, let's leave it as 0. The footer size is 0 too. We don't want to use the header and we don't want to use the footer. So the minimum spacing here is 10 for the cells and 10 for the lines. It means that how much is the spacing between each of the cell and how much spacing between each of the row, right? Each of the row like this, right? If you have different rows, and then section insect we use like that. So now the right here I want to make it something like 20. Okay, you will see later. Okay, now it's time to do auto layout for this guy too. So we want to do it like this. Uncheck the constraint margin, left and right, top like that, and then let's use down like this. Okay, and then we want to do UI for our cell. I hope that this is not too fast, right? You can pause the video and do along with me anytime. Now this thing is just a demo, so I want to go a little bit fast so that you will not be I am not boring to you, because I don't know about you, but when I learn something, if the one who is presenting that to me is very slow, I will be like, I want to 2x that thing. So that's why I talk fast and I just show you fast like that. Okay, so pay really close attention. Now it's time to do the UI for our cell like this. How can we do this? How can we do this? Well, it's just like if you know about table view. It's just like a table view cell. You just drag our element onto the cell, and then later on we will create a custom class for our cell. So what do I mean by that? We're going to have a UI image, right? We'll drag on the UI image view over here, like this. So let's drag this thing to the bottom and up to the top, because this is going to be the whole screen of the image. So let's change this image into like F1. Okay, and then let's use aspect fill. Okay, and then we want to make sure that we use click to bounce. Awesome. Now let's use auto layout for this guy. So we want to 0 to the top, 0 left and right, like this. Right, add the constraint. Pretty easy. Next up, let's have a UI view so that we can have the background color. So UI view like this, and we drag out this UI view to the screen like that. Right, awesome. Now here's the trick. We don't have to drag it around. We just have to use auto layout. 0, uncheck the constraint to margin. 0, 0, 0, and 0. So this thing is 0, 2. And then we will update the frames like this. And we add the for constraint, and it will automatically change the frame of that thing. Okay, and then let's use the background color into something like black color or any color, and dark, and then we'll change it into something like 60%. Okay, later on we use the code to change the background color of this thing. Last thing we want to do is we want to have that label. We want to have this label over here for our traveling around the world. So let's have a label, UI label. Drag this label to the screen like this, double click, and we want to have this thing just like we love traveling. I hope that I spelled it right, around the world like this. And then let's make sure that this label is correctly styled. So we have over here, and then let's make this line is 0 so we can have multiple lines like this, right? So we drag it way over there and then drag it down like this. Okay, and then let's make this thing, the color is white color, because our background color view is already some dark color with opacity, so we want it to be stand out like that. And then the fonts, let's use bold like this, and then the alignment, let's make it to be the center like that. So pretty good. Let's make this in the center too, so 10 to the left, 10 to the right, and like that, 177, like something like that. Okay, now let's use auto left for this guy. So the X position is going to be our left, the width is going to be the left and the right. What is the Y position? What the Y position is, we want to make sure that this is vertically, vertically in the container like this. Okay, and then we also have to update the constraint, update the frames of this thing. I see that it doesn't allow me to update the frames, so what we can do is we just move this thing around like this. Okay, or you know what, let's click into here, we click there, and it allows me to update the frames like that. Awesome. Now let's run this thing and see how it looks like, because now you run it, it should look exactly something like this. Okay, I hope that it looks like this, and let's see. Over here, this is the simulator. Alright, let's see. It doesn't show up. Why is it? We do have other things, but we don't have this collection view. Now the reason for that is we will have to use programming to code this collection view, right, to provide some data and some behaviors. So number one, I'm going to create a custom cell for this guy using UICollectionView cell. So let's right click over here, click a new file, and we want to touch class UI table view cell, UI collection view cell like this, and let's call this thing interest collection view cell, and then we drag it over there. Okay, so this is interest collection view cell. What do we have? We have just three things. Number one, an IB outlet wick var. I'm going to copy and paste this thing. So wick var for our featured image view, which is a UI image view like that, right? Let's make some space here so you can see it better. Oops. Okay. Next, let's have our interest title label, which is a UI label like that. And also we have a background color view, which is a UI view. Okay. Now we are going to connect these IB outlets to our to the storyboard in just a moment. So now how can we have the data? What is the public API for this thing? So we can populate data into these guys. The way that we're going to do this is we have an interest for our interest over here, right? Interest like that, and let's use optional. So whenever this thing gets set, okay, then we are going to call a method called update UI, just so that we can use this in separate method. Okay, and then we're going to use func update UI like this,
and let's make this thing private, right? Like that. And here we're going to set, you know what? Let's set if let our interest is our interest, like that, right? Otherwise, if we do not have the interest, let's use featured image view, featured image view dot image to be nil, and then we use interest title label dot text to be nil, and also the background color view dot to be nil too. Okay, and then let's copy and paste this thing, paste it over here. The image, let's use a different image. So the image, we can have interest dot featured image. Pretty cool, huh? And then the text, we can use interest dot title. The background color view, we can change its color dot color to be our interest dot color, like that. Okay. All right. Next up, oh, you know what? Yeah, it's cool. Let me check. It doesn't allow us to do that. Let's see. Your view doesn't. Oh, this thing is background color, and let's use background color too. Okay. Cool. Now, next thing is we want to. Let me show you this. If you look at each of the cell here, it has somehow a little bit of the corner radius, right? You may not see it clearly, but one thing you see for sure is there's a little shadow behind that. So let's change this shadow into something like, we want to use a layout subviews method. Okay, layout subviews like this, and we call super.layout subviews, like that. And then when we lay out the subviews, let's change the layer.corner radius of the cell. Notice when I called layer.corner radius is the same as we called self.layer.corner radius, right? It means that we want to access the layer property of this UI collection view cell. And then we change the corner radius of that layer, okay, into something like 3.0. And then we do self.clips to bound, self.clips to bounds to be false, so that we can have the shadow. Okay, and then let's use layer.shadow radius to be 2, and then we do layer.shadow opacity to be 0.8, and then we also do layer.shadow offset to be a CG size with the width and height. CG size, okay, width is something like a 10 and height, oops, you know what, let's change it into just 5 and height is 10. Okay, we can change this later. I just want to show you how to do that. Okay, now let's go into our main storyboard. We want to make sure that we have this collection view cell. The custom class of that is a an interest collection view cell. We update all the IB outlets of this thing, those connections. We have over here, what is that? Our background view, no, background color view. Over there, we have an image view like this. This is kind of, oops, don't do this. It can be very dangerous, okay? F1, that's good. And then we have interest label, title label over here. All right, that's all we need. Now let's change so the identifier of this thing into interest cell like this. So later on, in just a moment, we're going to use this thing, right? So now all of the things for our view is set up. The last step is going to create. We're going to create a new file called attach class. Let's, you know what? I want to use new file over here, script file, and let's call this thing interest collection, the interest plural collection view controller. Okay, just like this, so that I can show you all the steps. You like it? Import that. Let's make some room over here. Okay, Now, number one, what do we have? We have a interest collection view controller is a subclass of UI collection view controller, like this, right? Or I think that I don't like this, so let me change that into interest view controller, because it would not be a subclass of UI collection view controller, but rather it is a subclass of UI view controller, because we don't use a UI collection view controller, right? We just use a UI view. I'm sorry, we just use a UI collection view, not a controller. Okay, so let's change this thing, the name of this file. Let's change the name of this file into, oops, I think I just did it wrong. So this thing is interest collection view cell, and this thing over here, drag it over there, is our interest collection view, interest view controller. Now inside here, let's have an IB outlet with var for our collection view, which is a UI collection view, like this, right? And then also let's have some interest. So var interest is equals to interest dot fetch interest, like this, right? Let me make sure that everything is set up. What's this we have over here? We have interest and identifier interest. Oh, so this thing is interest, like that. Build succeeded. Alright, next up, let's have what is the scale of the cell. So let's have a let cell scaling to be something like a CG float of 0.6, right? And whenever this view did loaded, let's call super.viewDidLoad, and then over here we are going to set up the collection view. There are only 3 steps that you have to do to set up your collection view. Okay, number one, what is the size of the cell? What is the size of each of the cell of the item? Number two, what is the how many items in each of the section of your collection view? Number three is how does an item looks like? Very much like a tail view cell, right? So let's do that. Inside ViewDidLoad, I want to check the screen size, because we want to let's calculate a few things over here. Number one, we want to have let the screen size equals to UI screen, like this, dot main dot bounds dot size, right? The size of the screen. Let the cell width, we want to calculate the width of the cell to be we want to floor this thing out of screen size dot width times the cell scaling, like this, right? So we just want to have 0.6% the size of the whole width of the screen. Cool. Let the cell height to be the floor of screen size dot height times cell scaling, like this. Okay, now let's calculate the padding on the top of this thing and the padding over the bottom. Okay, so let inset x, again we are going to calculate the padding, which is the space of the top and the bottom over here. So let's have view.bounds.width minus the cell width, right, divided by 2.0, which is this space over here, right? So we have the width of the view minus the width of the cell, and then we divide it by 2 because there's 2 spaces over there. And then let's have the inset y. Here we just use view.bounds.height minus the cell height divided by 2.0. Okay, now when we have all of these information, we have the cell width, cell height, inset x, and inset height. Let's inset y. Let's set the item size and also the content inset for our collection view. So to do that, we're going to get the layout object of the collection view using collection view dot collection view layout, like that. We cast it as a UI collection view flow layout. UI collection view flow layout, like that. And then we change the layout dot item size to be a CG size of the width is cell width, height is cell height, like this. Finally, we set the inset X and inset Y for our collection view, like this, dot content inset to be our UI edge inset of top, bottom, left, right, and okay. So top is inset Y, left is inset X, bottom is inset Y, and right is inset X. Make sense? So we have top is inset Y, bottom is inset Y, left and right is inset X, right? Okay, now let's go into our class over there, and then let's implement our UI collection view data source, because in order to provide the collection view some data, you have to implement that UI collection view data source. So what do we have over here? We have an extension for interest view controller, which is a UI collection view data source, right? This data source we have number one, number of sections in the collection view, we return 1. Next we have collection view number of items in the section, we return interest.count. Okay, next thing we have the collection view cell for item at index path, like this. Okay, so here we have to return a UI cell, UI collection view cell, which is this custom class that we have for our interest collection view cell. So let's do that. We have let cell to be collection view dot the key reusable cell with identifier for index path. Identifier here is interest cell. Index path is our index path, right? We cast it as an interest collection view cell, and then we just have to do cell.interest equals to interest subscript index path dot item, like this, and we return the cell, right? Now you may ask, why is it we have this interest? Well, the reason for that is we cast this thing down as an interest collection view cell. And the interest collection view cell, we can cast it down like that because the storyboard, inside our storyboard, we use this thing is a UI collection view cell, right? I'm sorry, an interest collection view cell. We set the custom class, right? So now, while we're here, let's set this thing, the custom class, to be interest view controller. And then we have dragged down this where is that, our collection view over here, drag this to this, and we have that good to go, right? Now that's it for all of our collection view. Let's just run the project and see how it looks like. So here's the interest. It doesn't show up. Well, it does show up, but it doesn't show our images because you see we have the scrolling here. So let's figure out why it is the case. Now, the reason why we don't see anything over here is because when we implement the UI collection view data source and we implement these three methods, right? We never tell the collection view that, hey, this class right here is going to be your data source. So one way we can do that, very simple, is UI collection view dot data source to be ourself, like this. Okay, like that. Run the project once again and see how it looks like. Okay, let's see it. So we have interest. See? Pretty nice, isn't it? Alright. Okay. Now, one thing I want to fix this is that you see, if we scroll it like that, the cell will be like to the top left like this. There's a little padding like that. It looks really ridiculous. So let's change that thing over here. We want to change this into 0, right? So over there, we want to change the leading space. Instead of 16, change it to 0. And the, what is this over here? The trailing space to 0 too. So that, let's run it once again. And then another thing we want to fix is our shadow. It looks ridiculous. So let's change that. Okay. This looks pretty good. So let's change the shadow. So the shadow here, let's change it into 0. Radius. Let's change it to like 10, and opacity is just 0.3. Let's see how it looks like. All right. Huh, pretty good. Okay. It's now when we do 0.3 like this, it seems like these collection view, it's more of like it shows up, right? It's like it's floating. I really like it. So let's change that into 0.4. All right. One final thing, one last thing we want to do is, if you see that when we scroll it like this, it can stop at anywhere, right? It can stop anywhere. And it can stop something like this. It doesn't look good. It doesn't focus on one thing. So let's change that. And also very quick, we'll change this scroll indicator very quick. Okay. So inside our main storyboard, we want to click the collection view. Inside that, we have the show horizontal indicator and show vertical indicator. We disable that. So now let's fix this thing. We want to make sure that whenever we scroll it, whenever we stop scrolling, it's always stay in the center or something like this, right? And also when we do it like this, it will not be like that. It will be right in the center like that. Okay. So how can we do that? We're going to implement a method called UIScrollViewDelegate. I'm sorry. We are going to conform to UIScrollViewDelegate, so that we can have the scroll view of the collection view to be our delegate, right? And then number one, we are going to do it like this. So we have collection view. Oops, sorry. So below here we have an extension for interest view controller, right? We conform to UIScrollViewDelegate like this. And whenever the scroll view will end dragging, whenever this scroll view ends our dragging, then we're going to implement that thing, right? Number one, let's get the layout of this layout to be self.collectionView.collectionViewLayout like that. We cast it as UICollectionViewFlowLayout. Okay, let's use optional training over here. Next thing, let the cell width including our spacing, right? We want to have a little space between our cells, so including the spacing is layout.itemSize.width plus the layout.minimum spacing, which is the 10 points that we set earlier. Okay. Next up, let's get the offset. Var offset is a target content offset .point. It means that this is an object that allows us to change the target content offset. Over here, let's get the index. Now we have to calculate what is the index of the item that we are stopping at, right? So let index equals our offset.x plus the scroll view.content_inset.left, because we are scrolling horizontally, remember, left like that. If you're scrolling vertically, then this thing, it should be the top, divided by cell width including spacing, which is our index. Okay, and then let's round it, our index, to be round of index like that, because that is a CG float. Okay, now we have to change the offsets. So offset equals to a CG point with the X and Y. The X position here, we are going to use rounded index times the cell width including the spacing minus our scroll view.content_inset.left like this. Okay, Let me build that. Next thing, our the Y position is simply the negative scroll view dot content inset dot top, which is our default one. Okay, and we change it back. Target content offset dot pointee to be the offset, like this. All right. Now let's run the project and see how it looks like. So this code over here, maybe you want to have a piece of paper with you and then you trace it back so you can draw just a few lines of code over here and it will make sense for you. Okay, so here we go. We have this thing. Let's scroll it. And it doesn't work. Why is it doesn't work? Well, it means that when we conform, again, just like our protocol for the data source, right? When we have the data source, we tell that we have a delegate, the data source object to be ourselves, but we never set the delegate object over here. Okay, so let's implement that over here. We have CollectionViewDelegate to be ourselves too. So when we build this thing, it will yell at us and telling us that you cannot assign the value of type interest to be UICollectionViewDelegate. The reason for that is, although we tell that we will implement UIScrollViewDelegate, because UICollectionView is a subclass of UIScrollView, and UIScrollView has UIScrollViewDelegate. But we also have to explicitly tell that, okay, I want to implement UICollectionViewDelegate too. Okay, so let's run the project and see how it looks like. So here we go, let's run this thing. Here we go. Oops, did I do something wrong? Over here, I just press run again. So number one, we have all looks good, nice shadow we have over here, and boom, whenever we scroll it, it's always stay in the middle like that. Pretty nice. Now one last code challenge I want to give you in this episode, and then I'll have something very interesting, a video series extra bonus for you to get, is that look at the profile picture. I want to make it a circle. So how can you do that? Please do it and then share with me in the comment section below. Maybe you can take a screenshot and copy the link to my video below, or you can just like tell us what's the code that you use to make sure that this thing is a circle.
Alright my friend, that is how you create the carousel effect. I hope that you enjoyed this episode, and also if you love this kind of training, socialize your apps to my latest program is coming up for 2017. Now, if you love to learn how to build apps like Instagram, love to learn how to build apps like retail, e-commerce store, or build app like Twitter with Firebase. If you love all of those stuff, I have a series of videos coming up for you, all free. All you have to do is click the button on this page, enter your name and email there so I can send you those video series over the next few days. Until then, go out there every single day of your life, learn new things, craft your ideas, and contribute to the world. I'll see you next time.